Hi, everyone. Hello, welcome to our Sunday gathering for Sk'aliCh'elh-tenaut's Legacy. We were sitting backstage and talking, and I realized we started late. So sorry, folks. We're here. I'm also just want to apologize right off the bat. If someone can't comment, send me a message. And there's some weirdness going on, and I think I figured it out. Different way to stream things. So I just want to put that out there. If you're having trouble commenting, shoot me a message in Messenger, and I don't know. I'll do my best. I'll do my best to fix it. But let's check in with everyone. Deb Cruz, how are you today? Oops, muted. That's how you are. There you go.
Par for the course. Hanging tough as always.
Always. Deborah, how are you?
I'm so good. Hi, everybody. Just so happy to be here because I could be here or be cleaning the pond with my hubs. So I'm going to choose you beautiful people.
I'm glad you value us more than cleaning the pond. Christina, how are you?
I'm good. Happy Sunday. Happy to be here. Happy to learn what we can do to help some of our situations out.
Awesome. Brandy, how's it going?
Doing good. Happy to be here too. Same thing. I've been reading so much about Alaskan bycatch this week. It's crazy. It's just overwhelming.
I'm glad you've been reading on it. So we'll talk to you in a little bit about, maybe you can give us some of the newest updates. I know there's some new numbers out, and I'll try to get those loaded and stuff too. But yeah, it's just, there's so much going on. We're going to get to that, but there's so much going on in the ocean right now, and how we're caring for our planet. And oh my goodness. Alma, how are you?
Good. Grateful to be here and happy we can all get together and talk about these important issues facing our planet and all its inhabitants, including ourselves. So thanks for being here, everybody.
Thanks for being here. Oh, then put Howard in the middle here. It's like Howard's Angels show today. Surrounded by women. Let's put you in the middle. There you go. What is it? I don't know.
It looks good in a way, but you know, we know the truth. But it's great to join you all here. Yeah, thanks for hosting TokiTV once again, Annette. Much appreciated. All's well here. We have a fog bank out there, and Rosie Caillou tells us that's when the ancestors are near. So must be.
That's beautiful. Beautiful. There's some J-Pod on the lime kiln. Watched some footage earlier, so that's pretty cool. I was listening while I was trying to get the show ready.
Yeah, that was great. I thought they had flipped, but I haven't seen them lately. Let's see. Looking at the lime kiln webcam, I see a lot of water, but no whales.
Yeah, I was trying to look, and then also getting the show ready. But there's gosh, guys, this week there's a lot to update on, and then it's a little sad about what's happening right now. And so kind of a lot of the stuff we're going to talk about is like, but the reason we're talking about these things is because we got to do something about it, and it's never too late. And as you know, we all know we get compassion fatigue, and but we keep going, right? And we got to do something about it. We were talking about a little bit earlier about just like the positives of you know, gosh, why are we highlighting so many things happening? Well, because one person might hear it that has the ability to make some sort of difference. And so we're going to keep sharing. We're going to keep sharing what's happening out there, and ways we can help, and see what we can do, because that's what we're here for. Obviously, we're all put together, this team, and many people, advocates out there, to make a difference. So I asked Alma if she would give us some update of what's going on in the Keys. You've all heard of the spinning fish, so I'm going to turn it over to you, Alma. You can talk to us about what's happening.
Yeah, so those who don't know, I'm down here in Key West, Florida, where we've always been known for our pristine waters and, you know, amazing world-class fishing, and people love the seafood down here. And unfortunately, recently we've had an unusual event of some fish die-offs, unusual behavior in fish, where they're spinning kind of erratically until they die. And that's been happening since around November of last year. And many of our local scientific organizations have gathered together, of course, Florida Fish and Wildlife, Mote Marine, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, some nonprofits like Bonefish Tarpon Trust, and the Lower Keys Fishing Guides Association, which are some good friends of mine. And, they work hard all day. They do catch and release, taking people out. And then they go out at night collecting samples, to figure out what's going on. And so like hundreds and hundreds of samples have been collected. And, a lot of things have been ruled out. Carenia brevis, which is red tide, that's been ruled out. Any kind of parasite, like a lot of necropsies have been done. No parasites, pathogens, or bacterial infections have been found in these fish. Oxygen levels look good. Salinity looks good. Acidity and temperature look fine. So we're back to just figuring out what's in the water column. Water column is showing 25 to 33 times the normal level of this toxin called Gambier discus, which is a microalgae. These are things that, reproduce quickly when the reef is in stress. So our reef has been in, major distress for, it's been ongoing for forever. I'd say since the 70s. In the 70s, we had our typical reef tract. It's pretty cool. NASA's been doing aerial photographs since the 70s. And our reef down here, our reef system, has only ever had about 50% stony corals. In the 70s, we were at the 50%. In the 80s, it went down to, what was it, 20? No, 50% or 20%. And then by the 90s, 15, and in 2020, we're down to less than 2% of stony corals. So what happens when the stony corals move on and, are in decline, that rubble gets replaced by sea fans and micro and macroalgae. So it's in excess right now. And I think that's, why this is so prevalent in our water column. So that's been happening. Unfortunately, the ones that we're seeing a lot affected by this are the critically endangered small-toothed sawfish. We've had at least 45 die that we know of. I think a couple more were found offshore this week that haven't been added to the total number. But Mote Marine came in and decided they would try to rescue and rehabilitate a sawfish as it came in. So they caught an 11-foot male. They took him up to Sarasota to the aquarium there, and they had him for about a month. They were administering lipids, vitamins, various medications. He wouldn't eat. he was still declining, so they decided to euthanize him. I think it was just a few days ago on the 2nd. So that's really sad. We're not sure if any of these animals can be rehabilitated. But I think the good news is that this microalgae pretty much reproduces the most during the cooler months, and the water every day here is just going to keep getting warmer all the way through probably October. So that's a good thing. We're looking at the possibility of this, dwindling away, and hopefully we can figure out something before the water gets cooler again. Another good thing, I went out yesterday and did like an assessment of our resident dolphin population. We saw, I'd say, between 25 and 30 dolphins, including some babies, some, less than 6 months old, little juveniles. And everybody looks robust and healthy. We saw no spinning fish out near where the dolphins tend to hang out here. We did a couple reef stops. And although we didn't see any whirling fish or spinning, there was a lack of nurse sharks that are typically there. And usually we see a lot of stingrays, but that could have just been a boat came by before we did and kind of shooed them all away. But I'm really happy to see that the dolphins look good. They look healthy, and everything out there where they hang out looks pretty good. And this warm water is going to, change some things. But, the big picture in all this, I think, the Gambier discus is kind of like a proximate, they're blaming it on Gambier discus. But why did the Gambier discus elevate to such levels? We had an incredibly warm summer last year. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. We have silt coming from cruise ships. We have outdated sewage systems. We have, our wastewater treatments are not up to par. There's a lot of things, climate change. So, in all, there's the overall picture of the big picture is more important, I think, because that's what's causing the little thing that's causing the sickness. It's like saying this captive animal died from renal failure when it's really the overall cumulative effect of years in stress and, ill health and captivity. So it's a similar thing there. And I think we just need to all continue to take action and call out things when we see it.
Thanks, Alma. How do you spell that? The Gambier disc. How do you spell that?
Gambier discus. It's GAMBIERDISCUS.
So for
And
folks,
you can share as well to anyone in Florida. You can report any unusual fish behavior or sawfish sightings. We've always had this alert. If you see a sawfish, because they're so rare, they used to be all the way from Texas and Louisiana into Florida, but now they're only ever seen in Florida. So if you see a sawfish, please call FWC at this number or email them.
All right. And for those of you who are hearing this for the first time, I doubt anyone in this audience is hearing it for the first time. But if you are, I'll go ahead and show a video clip from one of the Facebook pages. Alma, do you want to preface, tell us what we're about to watch?
So yeah, I think this was taken in Isla Morada. It's a sawfish exhibiting, completely atypical behavior. They're typically very boat shy. They don't come around boats. It's very rare to see one. And so this one kind of going around in circles in shallow waters is highly unusual. Did it not play?
No, I was waiting for you.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. All right.
Maybe they're coming to the boats to tell us something. Maybe they're coming to the boats to say, stop with the toxics. I don't know. I mean, you said they don't come around boats very often, but they're going to the boats and basically dying. I mean, right in front of them. Is that what you're saying?
They're basically a deeper water species. They don't hang out in shallow water like that. So they're coming up, and that was kind of a mild video. The more intense ones are harder to watch. It's really quite heartbreaking because they're pretty much in their death throes. And it's so hard to see such an incredibly beautiful species that's critically endangered struggle and die in front of you. And it's happened way too much around Key West just in the past couple months. It's been many of them. At least 20 have died just in Key West, right on our beaches. So tourists are seeing it, and you're right, Christina, maybe these tourists are going to go home and really, they live out in the Midwest. They'll go home and do something about this. So, yeah.
Wow.
Seems like they're definitely trying to get a message across to me anyway. So,
yeah. I mean, typically an ocean creature can die and no one will ever know anything about it,
Exactly.
It's just going to become part of the, small ecosystem it's in right at that moment. But this is a very unusual event for us. Unprecedented.
All of that is hard to hear and watch. And like you said, that decline, I think you said less than 10%. It's just, it's hard to hear, but again, it's important. It's important for people to hear. It's important for people to know, to talk about, to spread all over social media so that something can be done. Them coming up and showing us, like you said, Southern residents showing up to tell us messages, Lisa Hayes showing up to, I think, it's all of it, just awareness. Like, well, what are we, like you said, like these things can happen way off and you would never know. Like I participated in a rescue in the Keys in 2005 with the rough-toothed dolphins. They don't hang out near shore, and it's like, wake up, people. Like, they're having to come and show us what we're doing to them. And then you got the trawlers Brandy's been on the, looking at everything going on with the trawlers, and mowing the ocean floor. And it's like people are trying so hard to save the ocean, and then you hear about those things that are just destroying it in big ways. And it's really hard to it's hard to be with that. It's hard to be with that. But we keep working and talking and creating events. And Howard, I want to move over to you because you've had some pretty big conversations this week. To talk to us about what you're up to. And Alma, again, thank you. And I'm going to put this number up one more time just in case you guys didn't get it in Florida or know anyone in Florida. If you see any any sawfish actually, to go ahead and report this, or any other fish concerns. Other fish concerns is 800-636-0511. And then for sawfish it's 844-472-9347. We'll create a post on that and get that shared as well, so you guys can share that information. So Alma, thank you again. Howard, let's move over to you.
Well, first, thank you, Alma. That was really interesting and informative. It's hard to talk about, so I really appreciate you telling us everything that you have been able to find out about it. It's still mysterious and heartbreaking to see that, I'm sure. I didn't realize sawfish were so large. They're big fish, big deep water fish, and for them to be on the surface and in their death throes is just really hard to see. And I agree. It's the cumulative effects of so much devastation, the coral bleaching, the algae out of control. It's hard to watch. You wanted me to talk about our visit.
You did have a visit.
Yes, a distinguished visitor, our representative Rick Larson, here in the 2nd District, our U.S. rep to the House of Representatives in D.C. He has been reelected many, many times. He's been the rep as long as I can remember, a couple of decades anyway. And he chose to put the Langley Whale Center on his itinerary and stopped by for about an hour. We had a good long chat. He was given a tour by our docent, and then we chatted a little bit. He asked some good questions about the new paper coming out about the 2 different species declared, residents and transients, or big swales. And so we had a little chat about that. And then in my feeble attempt at humor, I said, and you're off the hook on the Snake River dams because Congress doesn't even have to get involved. It can all be done by an executive order. And I thought he'd be, surprised to hear that. And he said, yeah, but the White House doesn't have any money. In other words, the appropriations approval has to come through Congress, in his belief, so that Congress still would have to approve it. And that's a tangled web that you'd never get out of, at least unless there's a newly enlightened Congress. So I sent that back to Elizabeth Dunn, who was the attorney for the Earth Law Center, who wrote the law review article stating that an executive order will do the job and get the dams breached. And I said, yeah, but Rick Larson said that no, because Congress still has to appropriate the funding. And she wrote back and said, well, she looked into that. She and Jim Waddell checked it out. And so she did all the research. She's an incredibly meticulous researcher of every detail, every precedent, every reference you could want to back up a point. And I can't even digest it and replay it all for you. I did send that to you, Annette. I don't know if you can put that up, but Yes, the answer, breaching the lower Snake River dams without new congressional appropriations. I kind of hate to send it to him because he doesn't like to be proven wrong, I'm sure. But this spells it out. And basically, it is that the BPA, Bonneville Power Authority, which is the marketing agency for the hydropower for all the dams on the Columbia River system, how they're sold to all the different utilities around the Northwest and beyond. And they are also in charge of apportioning the funding for fish mitigation, because it's been recognized for over 20 years since basically the salmon were declared endangered under the Endangered Species Act, that it was the responsibility of BPA to try to mitigate the harm done to the fish with all the fish ladders and the barging and the trucking of the smolts downstream and all the incredibly expensive, I don't know if you remember Gyro Gearloose, the cartoon character that was the crazy inventor. But anyway, all sorts of crazy inventions to try to get the fish around the dams and downstream. They've been spending billions and billions. I mean, it was 17 billion about 10 years ago. So it's way more than that. I haven't heard a recent number, but that is how they're spending the money now. So they have that obligation. Removal of the dams is fish mitigation, if I could make that point. So that is exactly what those funds should be used for. So BPA can pay for it. And that can all be done by executive order. So I'm sorry, Representative Larson. I hate to naysay you once again, but in this case, you're wrong. Congress does not need to be involved in the removal of the earthen berms because it's not that expensive. I mean, that's part of the whole point, is that removal of the dams does not involve the multi-billion-dollar destruction of concrete of the actual dams, because all four of them have earthen berms on the side that are effectively holding back the river. So all you have to do is notch those down to below the water level and then let the water wash over, and slowly by hydraulic process, the river will reclaim itself, will return to its normal riverbed over time gradually, so there's not a big washout of water, and it's not that expensive. So A, it's not that expensive, and B, BPA can cover it, and C, Congress doesn't have to be involved at all. So that was the lesson that I learned out of that whole interaction. I just haven't completely informed the representative yet of that paper. So that was interesting. And it was really, but I mean, it was a gracious gesture on his part just to visit the Whale Center and, put that on his Facebook page and publicize that. That was a wonderful thing for him to do, and I'm grateful.
Awesome. Brandy, you're muted. Go ahead.
I'm not now. I just muted myself. And then, Howard, I wanted to ask you too, with the Klamath River dams, those were breached just this past year or the year before?
Oh, just in the past year. I mean, it's still in process. Yeah.
Right. And it's showing great recovery already, right? As far as, reclaiming.
Right. I haven't seen results yet as far as the reemergence of fish. I haven't looked up, I looked at recent news reports, so it could well be. Yeah. But, it's so early, and it does take a while because there is so much sediment, that gets washed down when those are cleared out, that can, temporarily, set the fish back, until it opens up and they can go upstream. So I think it's a little early for any good results. to show up on that. But I mean, it's working.
Right.
All 4 of them are now removed. I understand. Wow, that really happened fast.
And that was in a year. That was literally
Yeah,
a
within
year.
the last 6 months, really. I think so. Yeah,
Gotta get those
Yeah.
snake little dams breached. Oh,
right. Yeah, so it's doable, and I'm sure not before the election in November. But assuming that goes well, and we have intact the same administration in the White House, I would say there's a very good chance that there could be an executive order come down the line, because it just
That
makes
would make
absolute sense. You know,
So,
I'm sorry.
so you're saying removal of the dams could be considered financially as fish mitigation?
Correct. Already funded.
Easy. Then that's it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's been, complicated, obfuscated, distracted, and, made into this, huge issue, and it really doesn't need to be. It can be very simply done. That just, people need to understand that. So it's important for our representative to understand that. So I think I will have to forward that paper to him, and not, I mean, what it says is that he doesn't have to be involved, but he's an important part of the building of the consensus, of the understanding, the general public, awareness that it can be done, because other people will ask him about that, no doubt.
Well, that's what they all say. I mean, that's the standard, reply. So
Yeah.
that's what we have to get past. We have to get over that, because it's like brainwashing. I don't know, but they all say the same thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's
really
just been
frustrating.
pumped out for so long that they all believe it. But that's what
Do
we're
they?
here for.
Do you really think they believe it, or they just? I mean, how can they believe it if they know the law and they're like, in that position?
They're afraid of the backlash. They're afraid of all the people, that have been so indoctrinated that are going to come down on them. And now probably the main issue is about the hydropower, the belief that the Snake River dams provide essential hydropower, but they don't, except in the spring. With the spring runoff, like right now, the rivers are running high, but in the summer they run very low, and so there's very little hydropower coming from those dams. And that's when people need powers in the summer for air conditioning and everything else. So, but there is an increasing demand for electricity. There are all these data centers, and that, that has to do with our use of the internet. Right now, we're using data centers, that are processing all the electrons, to allow us to have TokiTV. So, those require, big processors. Oh, somebody else wants to talk.
Well, we got John Carlos Frey hopped on with us. John, welcome.
Oh, how
Welcome
nice. So good.
here.
Hello, John Carlos.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
We hear you. Let me mute us, and yeah, we just want to see if there's any. We're talking dams like we do, and and so just wanting to check in with you, see how things are going on your end with what you're working on.
Thank you so much, and I'm so sorry I wasn't able to log on with my face in the location that I'm at. Doesn't allow me to do that. But Annette just sent me an email and asked me where we were with the documentary, which is about the Snake River dams and about the Southern residents. We finished filming in March. So towards the end of March, we got a couple of last-minute interviews with the Army Corps of Engineers that we took advantage of and tried to get some accountability through your representatives, through Patty Murray's office, which never really happened. and also with Kathy McMorris Rogers' office, which obviously didn't happen as well. But we did hold them accountable, so we sort of held off to get those last pieces in, and it takes a few months for us to edit a full-length documentary feature. So we're kind of in that. The reason that I couldn't put my face on camera is because I'm actually in an edit studio, and I'm not allowed to show necessarily the background of where I am. I don't have rights to do that, so I couldn't put my camera on without asking them first. And it's a Sunday, so there's nobody here for me to ask. And I'm watching what we call our rough cut. It's an hour and 49 minutes long. It highlights the Southern residents' plight through the years, starting with Penn Cove. Ken's voice is very prominent during that time, and bringing the Southern residents up to today, so we get to know who they are. We tell Toki's story from beginning to, sorry, I don't mean to say end, but from beginning to her journey coming back home and her death. We tell that entire story. And so that our audience will get to know who the Southern resident orcas are by name, by plight, by dire circumstance that they are suffering today. And all of that is the reason to breach the dams.
Yes.
People are getting to understand that these creatures are not just animals in the ocean, that they are sentient beings, that they have a consciousness, that they hurt like you and I do, that they have family bonds, that they cry out for their loved ones, that being put in captivity would be the same as you and I being put into solitary confinement, and on down the list. We develop those themes and those storylines so that the idea of keeping the dams in place and starving this population becomes ludicrous, becomes ridiculous and criminal, and that there are people involved that know better. There are people involved in positions of power that understand that what they're doing is actually hurting not only the Southern residents, but also this iconic species of salmon and steelhead and all the other fish that are on the endangered species list. Then the only way to alleviate this situation is to restore a wild river. That becomes evident and clear. And, I'm a journalist, and I am told that I'm supposed to present our audience with all of the facts, and people are saying, well, aren't you going to tell both sides of the story? Aren't you going to tell the power company's story and BPA and the Army Corps and the politicians? There is no other side of the story here. There's only one side of the story. I believe people who want to keep the dams in place are flat earthers. They are people who
Right.
believe that the earth is flat, or that believe that, in some conspiracy theory. There's really no evidence to prove that keeping the dams in place and continuing to pour money into hatcheries and every other way we've tried to save salmon has worked. So the only thing we haven't tried in the last 30 or 50 years in some cases is to restore a wild river. So that's the only way that this film points, and that's the only direction that we're taking. We're not taking another approach. We're calling out all politicians, all members of whatever organization that wants to keep the dams in place as, sorry, I'm just going to be very kind here, as flat earthers. It's a little bit more heavy hitting in the film.
Right.
So be patient. We've got to do our best. This is a very complex subject. There's a lot of moving parts, as you all know. There's been lawsuits. There are tribal members involved. There's animals involved. There's experts. There's environmentalists. There's politicians. There's a lot of corruption, and we're detailing all of it. We're taking everyone on this journey that you've all been on for decades, and we're starting in the 1940s when the dams went in place, and why they went in place, and the corruption involved in putting the dams in place. People have had knowledge that these dams had never should have been put in place from the very beginning. So we need to tell that part of the story, and we're telling it chronologically, and we're telling the plight of orca, we're telling the plight of salmon, we're telling the plight of Native Americans, and that's a lot. That's a lot. And so I was semi-gray when I started, and I'm fully gray now. That's why I'm not on camera. I've been pestering Howard quite a bit for footage, and So he kind of gets bits and pieces. He knows the direction that I'm going by what I'm asking him to help us provide, and he's been gracious in helping us with that. But I am telling the story as I saw it and as I heard it and as I know it as a journalist, and the facts speak for themselves. You guys are not crazy. The environmentalists are not all woo-woo wackos, people who are biologists and engineers and people with sound science are the people who are telling this story. So that's the direction. I am hopeful this moves the needle because at the end of watching this, you will hopefully think this is ridiculous. How are those dams kept in place? How have they remained in place? The fact that NOAA wants to study this for another 10 years is a little bit how we have ended the film or are planning to end the film. And I'm hoping that people in the audience will just get up and start screaming because that's what they've done for the last, 40 years, 30 years. It just studied it. The very agency that's responsible for restoring wild salmon is the very agency that continues to study restoring wild salmon. So anyway, so Annette, I hope that sort of filled in some of the blanks, and I apologize. I'm kind of sworn to being a little under wraps here as we develop this. I don't necessarily want to have influence. We've already been threatened with lawsuits for going in this direction. So we've obtained a pretty high-powered attorney, and I'm talking about power companies that think that we have a bias here and think that we're going to lie and sort of overindulge on a certain subject matter. But like I said, I have weighed everything, and people who say that dams and salmon can get along are feeding a bunch of bullshit, and we use those terms. So that's where we are, and that opens us up to liability. So I'm just kind of, until this comes out, which we're hoping our deadline for ourselves is the beginning of June, mid-June, somewhere in that area. So we're just weeks away. Our first goal is to take it to one of the major streamers where I have a deal and see what they think about it and see if they want to put it out on their streaming service. And I have to keep that name under wraps for now. And if not, we might come up and do some private screenings for you all, and then we'll see what plan B is. But that's plan A for now. So there you go.
Awesome. John, thank you for hopping on. And yes, thank you for sharing any information. We can't wait and totally understand, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And we know this is going to have a huge impact. So thank you.
You guys have made this very complicated and very hard. There's a lot of moving parts. It's not an easy story to tell, and to try and tell it within a concise period of time. I mean, this should be a 10-part series or something, as far as I'm concerned. But we want the audience to get one big punch in about 90 minutes.
Thank you so much, John.
Thank you, John.
Yes, thank you,
A
John.
bonus on TokiTV for John to come here and update us and all this great information. I am now all the more enthusiastic, and this is truly in keeping with Jim Waddell's legacy, my brother Ken Balcom's legacy, and Toki's legacy.
Yep.
This honors their legacies, and I really appreciate you doing it.
Well, thank you for that statement, because Howard, we do memorialize all three in the film, and we make a point, that those voices are the voices that have got us to where we are today. So,
yeah.
Thank you, John. Breach the dam, save her family.
Okay. Thank you
so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Wow, that was great. That's why I was like, the phone was ringing and I'm texting Deb Cruz, take over. I'm glad he was able to hop on and give us that. And we're really excited about this. Really excited about this.
I got the goosebumps just listening to his little spill, I was like, woo! It's going to be really good. Yes.
I got expecting the miracle. There it is. Expect the miracle, right? Here it's on its way. It's on its way.
And he breaks it down perfectly in, 2 minutes of what they touch on and how complicated it really is. And they're going to do it all in under 2 hours. Very impressive.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
I can't wait to see it. And I hope something big picks it up right off the bat. So it's just out there, it needs to get out there. And gosh, I'm so grateful for him and taking this on, and Howard for being in communication with him. And, I know he's just a cool guy too, like he's a cool guy, and he's a powerful guy, powerful voice. And so I'm really looking forward to
Well, thanks to Chris Kevorkian too for initiating this project and sticking by it when it didn't look like it was going to happen.
Good job, Dr. Chris. Yay. And good job. And thank you to the donor, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, and to whoever
who came in.
the
There was that GoFundMe, right? And what was it like? I don't even remember how much it was.
$450,000.
Yeah. And it was like, wow, here you go. And someone saw it, right? And so again, that you just never know, right? The one person that could see something or hear something and want to be a part of it and fund it. So thank you to the donor. Thank you to John for taking it on. Thank you, Dr. Chris, for initiating this. Thank you for everyone helping. And he's right? There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of cogs in the wheel, and that's all of you too, because we can all be doing something. We don't just sit back and wait for someone else's project, right? So what can we do, Christina? What do you got going on? What's brewing in that brain of yours? Because I know there is.
Well, I just made a little, a little Save Orca action guide. I thought maybe it could spark a little inspiration in people, because we definitely need to keep the breaching on the front lines, you know? I mean, this documentary is going to be awesome, and I hope it's just going to push it over the brink, really, because that's what we need. We need all of these politicians and whoever to be accountable. We need to hold them accountable for this. So we have to continue to call and write to President Biden. I mean, if you can, write a handwritten letter, and if you have even more time, make it stand out, do some little doodles on the envelope or put some stickers on it, just something to make it more pronounced. Also something that, will strike people's attention when they see it. That's the great thing about writing the letter, is other people are going to see it, not just you and, the president. The mailman's going to see it. The postal service worker sorting the mail will see it. There's a lot to be said about writing a handwritten letter and sending it in the snail mail, because it's really, really important. Because we need to breach these dams, and we can do something. Everybody can do something, like have a party, have a letter writing party, make it fun. Or if you're just having a get together with your family and it's a birthday party, just have everyone just jot something down, or have your postcards ready and some pens. Or you can have a really fun party and serve little, hors d'oeuvres and cocktails or mocktails or whatever you want to do, and just have it really fun, and, get your teachers and students involved. That's really powerful, as we all know, getting the kids to write a bunch of letters. And Christine, she got her whole class to write letters, and she sent them to me, and I'm sending them to the president with a bunch of other ones, and a bunch of salmon that Deborah cut out. I got a bunch of more of those signed. We got a bunch of those signed at our last event. So, all of that stuff, we need to keep going, and it's kind of hard sometimes, but we just have to. Yeah, take your pictures with your sign, and also there's another thing you can do to help, just like a lot of things, like what Alma was talking about, with the spinning fish, and because you can make a difference with what you do every single day, like what you buy. try to buy organic produce and stuff. I mean, even if you can't do it all, I noticed the prices are coming down. Well, I know the prices went up a lot like the last couple of years, but like the organic prices are coming down, and that's because people buy it. So, like if you can buy some things that are organic just to keep those chemicals out of our waters, and even some of the fabric that you buy for your home, your linens, your clothes. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can do in your everyday life to help the orcas, because they're struggling. They don't have enough food to eat, the water's dirty. I mean, blah blah. I'm sorry, it's just, but you can do it. So we can all get together and do it together, right? And then one of the main things I really, really am hoping for is people to join our planning committee, because I only have one person come up and say, "Yeah, I'm gonna join your planning committee," and that's Deb Ellers. And of course, she did that, right?
Go, Deb.
Right. But I want to create this huge event, and time is of the essence, because we need at least 2 months to put in an application for the permits, the place where I want to have it. So, really need to get this going on, and I can't do it by myself. So I'm really looking for, a few, I don't need a whole, army or anything, but a few really committed souls to help me with this planning of a large event with bands, and I want to make it really fun with face painting and orcas dancing like Deborah and Deborah. Like just doing a bunch of really upbeat stuff, like having some food, everything, and getting a lot of people involved in it, so it really spreads awareness. Yeah. So that's my little Save the Orca action guide that I created this morning really fast. Sorry, Annette.
She's like sending me all this stuff. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to get them all up, but we did. So that's good. Christina, thank you. And then Brandy, you have some banners there, right? Some things.
Yeah.
What you got?
I got my breach now. My other breach now. My other breach now. We have an Ocean Institute here in Dana Point, and I was thinking, I maybe need to go down there and try and talk to somebody about, because it's a big educational place. They do a lot of things with the schools, and I was like, I'm always like, so many thoughts in my head, but I'm like, where to start? And I'm like, you know what? That might be a really great place to start, because they also have the whale watching tours out there too. So that's what. And then Christina, I messaged you on Facebook. I think I Facebook messaged you. So reach back out to me, because I was like, I'm in California, but let me know. I will do whatever you need me to.
Oh, thank you so much. That's very kind of you. I really appreciate it. I don't know that I got your message, but you don't have to live here in Washington to help with the planning committee. A lot of that stuff can be done online and on the phone and whatever. So thank you, Brandy. I will reach out to you. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I just kind of assumed I was on the committee, but
I assumed the same.
You know what they say about assuming, so.
I haven't officially notified you, but no. How do people notify you, Christina? How do you want them to?
Yeah, message me on Facebook is perfect. That's great. Cool. Yep.
How about this?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Raise your hand. How about raising your hand to say yes, we're in?
Yes,
Thank you, Alma.
So here's what's cool.
Yes.
Yeah, you're saying it takes a couple months, right? You got to get the permit. If it somehow was in alignment with a documentary coming out, I think you're going to have a lot of people wanting to show up at something. So,
maybe they could do a showing at that event.
Maybe like, I don't know how all that works, and we'll let him figure all that out. But when this comes out, you're going to have more people showing up to these events. So let's make them available. And let's make them great. And so Christina, right on. Howard, I'm assuming I'm volunteering for Howard to
Oh,
participate.
he already volunteered. I
Oh,
should
okay,
say
good.
that. I mean,
Oh yeah.
There's one other really cool thing that people can do every day, you guys. There's I carry it in my purse, but if you use a Sharpie, you can write breach the dams, like hashtag breach the dams, hashtag free the snakes on your paper money. And then when people are like, what is,
I think that's illegal.
well, how are they going to track you down? I mean,
I think it's funny. I think it's great.
But I mean, if you like, I use a red Sharpie, and everybody knows what hashtag is about. So
Right.
that's another thing to add to the everyday thing we can do.
That's
I'm
awesome.
down.
Get some. You can also, shoe polish or whatever. Disclaimer: I don't know what will stain your car windows or not, but there is actual paints for car windows, so that's something else to put hashtags. You're just driving down the road and someone will be like, "What the heck is that?" And they'll just Google it. So hashtag your cars, man. Hashtag your money if it's legal. I don't know.
If I end up in jail, we'll know.
Disclaimer. Let me say a disclaimer real quick. Just kidding. But yeah, you guys just keep, again, you just never know who's going to hear it, right? Just like the wonderful donor who showed up out of nowhere to fund this documentary, heard it somewhere and ta-da, right? So there we go. You just don't know. So yeah, some people don't want bumper stickers, but go get some car paint. It's not expensive at all. I bought some when my kid graduated a few years back, and you can get a whole bunch of different colors and stuff.
Markers. There's even
Yeah.
markers for your windows.
Yeah, it's what it is. It's like
Mhm.
it's what it is. They're little markers, but they're
Oh, okay.
so yeah. Get creative. Deborah, something coming up soon. There's a lot coming up this weekend. So Deborah, what's happening this weekend?
Well, I don't know if it's this weekend. It's May 18th, but that big
Oh, that's
TokiTV is going to be at the Roadie Parade in Port Townsend. And we're going to be seeing Miss Deb Ellers there with the North Atlantic Pod. So that's going to be really cool. Breach the Dams event. If it's anything like Welcome to Wales, it's going to rock.
There's something going on the same weekend, right, Howard?
The Penco Fire Festival is going on the same weekend with the canoe races, with many tribes coming together and just engaging in this wonderful canoe racing competitions. A lot of different size and age classes, and also Susan wanted me to ask if anyone or all of us would like to sponsor a canoe club, because that's how they are able to afford it. Let's see if I can get what she says. Can you mention on TokiTV that the Pen Cove Water Festival still has some races to sponsor? $650 for a 6-man race, or $400 for an 11 buckskin. I'm not sure what that means in terms of age category. I think it's sort of a teenage race. If they want to sponsor one as TokiTV and or in honor of Toki or someone, brave little hunter, etc., since the festival is in honor of Toki this year.
That's awesome. Let's get our crew together. Let's chat about that. And anyone who's watching, if you guys want to participate in that or contribute and be part of that, just shoot me a message and we can figure that out. And then maybe we can get something more formal on.
I have a question about that really quick. Can you just donate a little bit, or do you have to donate because that's like a big chunk of change?
Yeah, well, yeah, it is. But as a group, if you could form a group and collect together that much, yeah.
Gotcha.
Let's do it, folks on the screen and folks watching. If you can and want to, check with your small communities or your groups and see. We'll just do a little messenger group here, and anybody who's watching, if you want to contribute to that and be part of sponsoring with us, shoot me a message, and we'll figure out how many people we can get in and see what people can donate. That would be great. Brandy, you were going to say something?
Yeah. Oh, I muted myself. And next weekend is the worldwide Empty the Tanks event. So May 11th and 12th. I know they've got a link on Facebook, but it's going to be worldwide. They'll be in San Diego, here in Los Angeles, but they're all over the place. It's going to be happening this weekend. So just kind of spreading the word.
It's on the on Saturday, right? So I'm putting it up on the screen here.
Yeah.
If you guys go to emptythetanks.org, I don't know. Can you see what I'm seeing? I think I'm seeing. But it's kind of cool. So if you go here and you go to resources, so it's emptythetanks.org, right? And this is Empty the Tanks is an anti-captivity and ocean conservation campaign from Rick O'Barry's Dolphin Project, and this has been going on for years, and it's very effective. It's very powerful. So on this website, emptythetanks.org, you go to resources, and you can go down to where it says event posters. And you guys can download any of these high quality. Aren't these pretty? And it's they tell a message that's, look at this. Like, my mom taught me the dolphins belong in the ocean. My mom taught me that orcas belong in the ocean. All of these. So you don't have to worry about making your own signs, you guys. You could just simply go here and download some, get them printed up, and just show up. I mean, just show up, guys. It's Saturday. I don't have the time. Let me see. Go back over here. Empty the Tanks worldwide.
It's worldwide, Annette. So like they're very places. And if you go there and say, find my location, this is an amazing event. I just happen to have a whole bunch of these posters.
So if you go to events, go to the Empty the Tanks Worldwide 2024, and this is where you can see all the places, right? So wherever you are, you just click on it and it'll tell you where those are going to be happening. So like here on Australia, SeaWorld Gold Coast, South America, these are all the places. Really cool website. And so folks, just go check that out. Oh, look, Christine's going to be in Manchester, UK. Can those posters be shared on Facebook? I am guessing that they can. But if you go straight to that link, it's easy to do. You guys can download from there and then maybe possibly share to your own Facebook page as well, or share that link. Big stuff happening. Breach the dams, guys. Don't buy a ticket. Like, it's enough, just enough. I don't know what's happening with this aquarium. I know that from what I understand, they're still allowing people to show up, but not a lot of people are. So that's good. And we'll see how that plays out. But first and foremost, we got to pray for those animals. Those are the ones in limbo here. I did see, and Howard, you might have more information on this, that looks like the county is saying that they are or will have the resources to care for those animals should it come to that. So I don't know if that's hinting towards them taking over or not, but that they are confident they have the care team to be able to take care of them should it come to that. And that might be what's for them.
Right. Well, I'm sure they're thinking it all through. Of course, it's the zoo in Miami that the county owns. And so there's a lot of animal care people there, but they don't have dolphins there. And so the dolphins are going to need special treatment. And so, I know they've got to be working that out, but I'm sure they've looked into not only the means, but the legalities of confiscating the animals if the tenant will not vacate, and so, in process, and it's going to be tricky. They're fighting it. The Dolphin Company is fighting it all the way. So it's a nasty little fiasco, but I'm sure it's the end of the Seaquarium. I mean, like you say, very few people are going there anymore because with that kind of publicity, that they mistreat the animals and that the county has had to revoke their lease. I mean, that makes it look really bad for the whole company. I mean, that should reverberate across all the other parks in South America.
Yeah,
that's the kind of company this is. So that's it's going to empty the tanks, right there, just by all that bad publicity. The
Yeah.
public is learning. Yeah,
And that's why we keep doing what we're doing
right.
every day, all day. Some of us for many, many, many years, Howard, just never stopping. That's why we keep doing what we're doing, because they deserve to be free. No more. People don't want to see that anymore. Kids don't want to see that anymore, and it's up to us to continue to talk about that every week, every day, on our cars, on our money, maybe. Wherever it's legal, that's where we want to share it.
Yeah.
I love you guys so much. And then Brandy, maybe, when I'm out there, I'm going to be hanging out with Brandy here in a couple weeks,
Yeah.
for a day. So I don't know, let's see what kind of awareness we can drum up in an afternoon.
I'm gonna wear my shirt. I'm gonna wear
There
my damn shirt.
Awesome.
Great.
Anything else, guys? Who wants to say anything else? Deborah, I want to show a picture of Deborah because it's just cute. And I would like you to share that story about what Rosie James said about this, if that's okay with you.
This is really this picture, not to sound narcissistic, but I love it too, because this was at such a beautiful day of Welcome the Whales. And this was orcas welcoming their friends, the gray whales. And this was me as TokiTV. See my little baby TokiTV there? My little baby T there?
Oh.
And we were doing the water blessing, and I turned around and my heart was so full of so much joy and love. And it just made me so grateful to have this life to stand up for others. So when we feel tired and frustrated and angry and just, right? You just get that feeling, channel it maybe this way, like activism. This is what my whole life of activism has felt like. And so I did share it on Facebook, and it was this most beautiful post that Rosie Caillou, to drop her name again, I was cracking a joke and I said, "Oh, I got caught praying again." And she says, "No, you got caught catching a prayer." So I just, the power of one person, and if all of us do this all around the world, even if it's just a few of us, we can help Pachamama regain balance. She needs us to do this for her. So thank you.
Awesome, Deborah. Thank you. And thank you for showing up with the costume, without a costume, wherever you've been all over the place. There's a rally, there's Deborah. And so I appreciate it. Howard, I'm gonna check in with you, or Alma, Christina, anybody got anything to say before we close?
Nope. I don't have any big bright spots to replay, but thank you, Deborah. That was beautiful. And
That was beautiful.
That was a wonderful day. Yeah.
Thank you, Pod, for standing up for the Finned ones and allowing us all to channel our energy together as our pod in the most positive way. Like, we can get angry about things, we can get overstimulated and have, compassion, anxiety, and, get so exhausted, but we keep each other going, and it's beautiful. And so thank you guys for being here.
Toki magic.
Toki magic. Deb Cruz,
Toki
anything?
magic.
Talkative Deb Cruz, anything to say before we close? No? All right. In honor of emptying the tanks, we'll close out by playing Dee's song, Take Me Home. And we'll just show some of the posters there. Love you guys, and we'll see you next week. Oh, send your pictures, guys. Put those pictures from your Empty the Tanks thing. Send me some, send videos, whatever. We'll show them next week. And we'll talk soon. Bye, guys.
Swimming up to 100 miles a day with my family, not in captivity, it's not free. Oh, I wanna be free. Oh, I wanna be free. Oh, I wanna live free. Oh, roaming the ocean. Roaming the ocean.